Will join us. That is Glenn West of Go 24/7 coming up in 30 minutes, and Sharie Isack at the bottom of hour number 2. Of course, we'll talk with Glenn about the Fighting Tigers, and we'll talk with Sharie about the Saints. Both teams coming off a nice win over the weekend. I've got my thoughts that I've seen on some baseball chatter from the first weekend of LSU fall practice, so we'll get to that at the end of hour number 1. We'll get a little update, mid-season update on where my SEC over-under bets stand, and kind of what I was thinking when we walked through them and where we are now. Some of my picks look pretty good, and as you might expect, some of them look absolutely awful. But we'll get to those in hour number 2. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the 1s and 2s and fired up that you're here with us. You know, when we talk about this LSU team, what have been the dominant storylines? Oh, they can't stop anybody on defense. Stink on defense, bad on defense. That's a storyline. Jaden Daniels should be in the Heisman conversation. Absolutely, I think that's been a storyline. Look at the breakout and emergence of Brian Thomas next to Malik Neighbors. That is as good a 1-2 as at wide receiver as anybody in the SEC has. I think that's a reasonable take to have. Logan Diggs is breaking out. That's fantastic. Looking really good. I think that's a reasonable take to have. I think all of those talking points have been spoken to appropriately. The defense has not been very good. Jaden Daniels has played at a Heisman level. You do have great wide receivers and a good running back, and all that makes a lot of sense to talk about. But one thing that I don't think has been talked about just enough, and I did yesterday, but I want to go a little bit deeper into the entirety of the situation here today, is LSU's offensive line. Big hat tip to LSU's offensive line, quite frankly. I think they have been excellent. If you take this back 2 years, LSU hires Brad Davis in the late summer and tosses him into a situation that was just awful. You were short on numbers. You were short on talent. It was a really rough spot for Brad Davis to come into in 2021. And, I mean, late in that year, Garrett Dellinger was your starting left tackle as a true freshman. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I did not remember that at all. I was going through doing research on this year's line and going through some of the, and I didn't realize he played left tackle. Yep, started right there. Against Arkansas, against Mississippi State. There he was. Not exactly ideal. But over time, Brad Davis has gone to work, put in some work recruiting, and you have a new head coach come in that has a profile that he wants to recruit to on the offensive line. And one of the things that we said when Brian Kelly got this job was, well, I don't know how well he can recruit Louisiana. I don't know if he's going to be a great fit here. I don't know if he's going to win championships at LSU. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't on all those things. But what I do know is that he's got a track record of offensive line recruiting and development that would lend itself to a lot of success here at LSU. And now all of a sudden you look back 2 years into this job and you look at the offensive line they've put together. And yes, you had to take some of your lumps early last year. You threw Will Campbell in there at left tackle. Here's Jared Verse from Florida State. Good luck, kid. Didn't go great. You decided after one game, well, we're going to go with a freshman at right tackle too. And you put him out there. And you said we wanted to put Garrett Dellinger in there at center. That's where he started against Florida State last year. Now we'll put Charles Turner back in there. Dellinger can help us one way or not. And you kind of mixed and matched and figured it out. And you got better on the offensive line as time goes on. They were overmatched against Florida State last year in the opener. And by the end of the season, they were pretty good up front on the offensive line. So you looked at this team, you're like, okay, you got Will Campbell back and you got Emory Jones back. That's a pretty good place to start with your bookends. And we've got Miles Frazier back, who played well last year. And we've got Charles Turner back in the middle of the offensive line, and that should be a really nice piece for us. And we'll go with Garrett Dellinger at right guard. And Dellinger has started, he started at center. I told you he started at left tackle. Last year in the second game, he started against Southern at left guard. Like he had started 10 games in his career coming in at 3 different positions on the offensive line for LSU. So it wasn't as if he was some totally unproven commodity. And you felt like that was going to be a rock-solid piece to your offense. And quite frankly, they were disappointing in game one. Your running backs couldn't do anything offensively. The 2 plays that stand out are the two short yardage fourth downs, where one, you tried a running play and got stacked up, and two, you tried a little play action pass play and you got sacked. And you got overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage in both situations. And so you look up and you ran for 113 yards against Florida State, but most of that was Jaden Daniels running all over the place. And you gave up pressures to Jaden Daniels in that game. And in the second half, you really got dusted. And that was a surprising development to me, to sit there and watch that offensive line with that much returning experience and talent, quite frankly, to go out there against Florida State and just get beat. And what was my entire message coming out the next week against Grambling? Nothing that concerned me against Florida State can be fixed in my eyes, the fans' eyes, the analyst's eyes, who's not at practice and not understanding what the game plan is, and just watching results on the field. None of that's going to get fixed against Grambling. So whoop-de-doo, you ran for 302 yards against Grambling. I don't care. It's a different level of football. Prove it when the lights come on again. And they ran it pretty well against Mississippi State. Ran for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. And none of it was on chunk plays. Your longest run against Mississippi State was only 23 yards. And then against Arkansas, you really leaned on them. And Diggs really got going. And you ran it great. And at Ole Miss, you ran it for 223 yards and 3 scores. And then for the first time all year, your running game was so dependable that the game plan against Missouri was to run the ball. Yeah, we got Daniels, and he's throwing it awesome. And yeah, we got Thomas out there. We got Neighbors out there. We got Mason Taylor out there. All these guys that can make plays. We're running the ball because we can. I don't care that Missouri's the number 1 run defense in the Southeastern Conference. The only team they played with the pulse is Kansas State, and they ran it on them. We're going to run it. And LSU ran it 43 times for 274 yards in that game and a pair of scores. Physical running game. A lot of it's zone, and some of it's read option, but it's physical, and it's downhill, and they're excelling. And guess what? You've developed a little depth. You've got a couple of true freshmen who have logged SEC snaps in huge spots for you. Lance Hurd has had his ups and downs. We saw DJ Chester in there, made some really good plays at center, and also got beat on a play, ended up being a touchdown. Brian Kelly talked about it yesterday. But you've got some depth coming up behind your front-end talent. And yeah, we'll see what Charles Turner and Garrett Dillon try to do. Miles Frazier move on. But you've got Jones and Campbell back. You've got Hurd and Chester that you feel really good about in a younger class. And you're starting to see this depth develop. And so Brian Kelly yesterday kind of wanted to talk about what his offensive line has meant to this offense.
You guys have heard this enough from me, is that we want to be equally as efficient running the football as we are throwing the football. And if you want to play too deep and you want to play soft and you really want to try to keep the ball in front of you, you better be able to run the football. That was in a large degree what was happening on Saturday, is that they were trying to keep from giving up the big play, and so it gave us some favorable looks in terms of running the football. And in particular, it gave us the opportunity to run Daniels as well. So again, I think they're a huge part of what we're doing, both in the run game and giving Jaden the opportunity to get the ball downfield.
And with that depth that you've created, that you've already tapped into a little bit on this team, you've got a committed class that includes Ethan Callaway, a 6'7", 300-pound, 4-star tackle that LSU's got out of North Carolina. You've got Ori Williams, a 6'7", 300-pound physical presence that ESPN's got 4-star rating, 24/7 on 3 have 3-star rating, but comes in that profile of the big, long, physical offensive lineman. You got Kyrie Lee from John Ehret, who's 6'5", 307, that you've got in this class that is committed to you. You've got Joseph Cryer, who they've got from Natchitoches Central, who's 6'4", 290. They're all in that same mold, same type build, long, lean, and able to grow into their frames. And you hope that you don't have to continue to play Will Campbell as a freshman, and Emory Jones as a freshman, and Lance Hurd as a freshman, and DJ Chester as a freshman. They're being asked to, but you hope that's not the case moving forward. But you just have to like the numbers that they've got up there. and the talent level and the fact that just what Brian Kelly said in his introductory press conference, there's a profile here. We'll commit to it. We'll recruit to it, and we'll churn out really good offensive linemen. And right now, they're doing it. And my take on this offense, really, all of August was, I think they're pretty good at wide receiver. I think the quarterback's pretty good. They block, they're going to be a handful. Well, they didn't block against Florida State, and they got overwhelmed in the second half. Since that time, they've blocked. They've been a handful. And I don't expect this to slow down anytime soon. They got to develop a new quarterback for next year. Likely Garrett Nussmeier, but that's a guy that's going to have to develop and improve. You're going to lose Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas very likely after this year. You're going to have to restock those shelves. You got a bajillion running backs, and we'll see what comes of that situation. But if the foundation of next year's offense is in this offensive line that you've recruited to and developed and has these pillars on the back end, and you feel like Chester slides in there at center, and all of a sudden it's a nice place to start your offense, where this year that was kind of the finishing piece when we were analyzing things. Programs are cyclical, and now it's more like team building, and you got to go get this guy here or there, and wouldn't surprise me at all if they went into the transfer portal and grabbed another offensive lineman like they did this year going to the ACC. But it's something we projected would be the case, and now looking at 2 years later with Brian Kelly, the offensive line is looking excellent, and that's fantastic news because you've got a head coach that's done this for a long time and an offensive line coach that we think is a great one as well. So I like talking about the offensive line. They're doing a good job. Hopefully they do a good job against a good Auburn defensive front coming up on Saturday night in Death Valley at 6 o'clock. We'll chat with Glenn West about all of that and a little bit more. When we come back, I started to hint at a little comparison with this offense in 2019. We'll put a few numbers to that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Snap into action with this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app's easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options that include spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued, no withdrawal bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who knows a gaming problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps. Your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Kate Voisin, join me and the coaches Todd Black and Jimmy Roy for the next edition of Louisiana Prep Weekly. Our special guest will be Walker head football coach Chad Mahaffey. It's Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday night at 6, live from Walk-Ons in Town Center on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Glenn West, Go 24/7, going to be with us here in 13 minutes or so. We'll talk Tigers with Glenn as we do each and every Tuesday. Okay, let me preface this segment with a little bit of a disclaimer, if I might. I am not making an attempt to determine which offense is better, the 2019 LSU offense or the 2023 offense. I repeat, I am not trying to compare them to determine which offense is better. Do we have that out on the table? Have we got that clear? I'm looking up here, Justin Jefferson highlights. Unfortunately, getting a little hamstring injury there. But that's the best offense we have ever seen at LSU, and you could make a strong case it's the greatest offense in the history of college football. I am not pulling these stats up and comparing them to say, oh, is 2023 better? I'm not at all. I'm just saying if we have the greatest, why don't we just see where things stack up? And it creates a little bit of a discussion. Again, we know that the statistics I'm going to pull for you for the 2019 team involve games in Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny, involve an SEC championship game against Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs, include a national championship game against Brent Venables' Clemson Tigers. Okay? This offense has faced Ole Miss, Missouri, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and then Florida State, and it didn't go awesome against Florida State. So it's not apples to apples. I'm well aware of it. I just want to toss some numbers around for the sake of discussion. So now that I think I've adequately put a disclaimer out there, let's just kind of look. LSU's offense right now is 5th in the country in points per game, which is fantastic. They're scoring 44.8 points per game, so about 45 points per game for this offense. That LSU offense scored 48 a game and was the best in the country. So, again, that offense did get to play a couple more non-conference games than this team has played. This team has really only played one cupcake, but the LSU offense in 2019, pretty salty, 48 points per game, 3 more than this team. Rushing offense. This LSU offense is actually 15th in the country in rushing the football, which surprised me last week when I started to look that up. And now you've kind of seen what we did in Missouri, and you look at it and you go, oh, okay, 210 yards per game. Yeah, that's solid run offense, 15th in the country. LSU in 19 was 60th in the country in run offense, only ran it for 167. The biggest difference here is not necessarily Clyde and Diggs, it's Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. Jaden Daniels totes it for 100 a game sometimes, and Joe was good for a nice 15-yard game when he needed it. But that was about all you're going to get from him. So LSU running the ball, this team runs it for 40 more yards per game than 19 did. Passing offense, LSU this year, 7th in the country in passing offense, 337 yards per game. LSU in 2019, 2nd in the country in pass offense at 401 yards per game. I'll give you a little trivia question here. Who do you think averaged more passing yards? What school do you think averaged more passing yards than LSU in 2019? Give you a second there. It is, of course, Washington State in Mike Leach's final season up there on the Palouse. So LSU this year, 7th in the country in passing yards. That LSU offense, 2nd. And you're talking about a difference of more than 60 yards per game to the 19 team. LSU right now in 2023 is the 3rd ranked total offense in college football. 548 yards per game. Of course, in 19, they were the best total offense in college football at 563. So you're looking at about a 16, 17-yard difference that the 2019 team did. But when you look at that number, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. When you look at how easy LSU seemed to move the ball in 19 and how many yards they were chalking up, this team is only averaging 16 yards less or so, 18 yards less or so. And maybe you could argue, hey, that's just because the clock didn't stop on a first down. You gave them the extra 3 plays, they'd have it. It's pretty close. And again, Clemson, Georgia, I got it. But just for the sake of just laying it out there, this offense is moving the ball through its portion of its schedule just about as easy as that one did. Third downs, LSU is number 3 in the country in third down efficiency at 56%. That's 6% better than the 2019 team was. That team was 4th in the country in converting on third downs. And then red zone touchdown percentage, LSU converts 71% of their red zone third downs, or red zone touchdowns at this point. That's 29th in the country. LSU in 2019 was 4th in the country in red zone touchdown percentage. So, look, LSU in 2019, 1st in points per game, 1st in total offense, 2nd in pass offense, number 4 on third downs, number 4 in the red zone, top 5 in all those statistics. And LSU is top 5 in points per game, total offense, and third down percentage at this point. This team runs the ball a little bit more efficiently than that one did, thanks to Jaden Daniels, I think. And then you look in the red zone, and LSU in 2019 was better. I just like to kind of look at some things. I think it's easy for us to look at it and go, yeah, they're doing a lot, but that team, Burrow, Chase, Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Thad Moss, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like that team, you can't really compare it. And then you look at it and you go, well, just on paper, without the opponents that you play, like they are moving the ball just about that good. And these two offenses are the most confident I've been in two offenses in my time watching LSU ever. I thought LSU was fantastic with Rohan Davey and Josh Reed chopping it up and going to the Sugar Bowl and beating Illinois. That was a great offensive team. The 2013 team we know that had Mettenberger over 3,000 yards and Jeremy Hill over 1,000 yards and Jarvis and Odell over 1,000 yards. That was a great offensive team as well. These two inspire the most confidence in me. The question now remains, can Jaden Daniels in this offense do this against Alabama, who's been good on defense this year? Can they do this against Texas A&M's front that is full of pros? And then if you were to get an opportunity against Georgia, like, could you do it against those teams? Because the 19 team did, and that's what separates them. Right now, you got to hope that this team is going to score a bunch of points on everybody. And it's fun to say, oh, they'll just roll out of bed and drop 40 on you. Well, that remains to be seen in Tuscaloosa. Burrow took the football in Tuscaloosa and went right down the football field, hit Chase for a touchdown, and they were off to the races, and Alabama just couldn't stop them. Do that, and then we'll really have the conversation whether or not it's worthwhile. Do it in the SEC championship game against the best defense in college football. Got a long way to go to get there. And in the case of Burrow and Clyde and Jets and Jamar and Terrace, and they also had a defense full of pros, and LSU in 2023 doesn't appear to. So again, the apples-to-apples comparison doesn't work perfectly. But I do think it's fascinating to know that basically, in terms of yards per play, the 2023 offense is right up there with the 2019 offense. They move the ball about that efficiently. Now can they do it against Auburn, Army, and go to Tuscaloosa and see what you can do? It feels like at this point, once you've gotten past Mizzou and you look at what Auburn's done, it's like, oh, this is kind of a month-long Alabama pregame show. It's really not. This team's got a lot of work to do before then. 2011 team didn't have that much work to do pre-Alabama. 19 team made pretty quick work of most guys, most teams, not Alabama. This one has taken huge bumps in the road. Not do very much to this offense. But it's statistically, I laid out 6 statistics there. 2 of them favored the current team, third down efficiency and rushing, 4 the other way. But man, every single stat for the 19 team that we've talked about, except for the run offense, is in the top 4 in the country. It was pretty fun to watch, if you ask me. I thought that team was not bad in 2019. Speaking of not bad, congratulations to Alvin Falstish. Alvish, our Week 6 winner in the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest, wins a Twin Peaks gift card. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 7 by noon on Thursday. Play the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com. I've got some baseball thoughts from fall ball over the weekend at the end of hour number 1. When we come back, we'll chat with Glenn West to Go 24/7 about the Tigers. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Tell you about Boudreaux's Electric each and every day. Look, we got power outages down here. Sometimes it's a hurricane that knocks us out for a week and a half. Sometimes it's just one of those nasty summer thunder showers that knocks you out at the most inopportune time, like it did for me for the LSU and Tennessee College World Series game back in June. Don't let that happen. Protect your home and your family from power outages with Boudreaux's Electric. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. If you find a Generac generator that's less expensive than what you would find at Boudreaux's Electric, they'll match that price for you. And I can promise you're going to want to shop at Boudreaux's because every single Generac generator that they sell comes with a free 10-year warranty. Generators are customized. Some people need huge ones for a big home that needs to be powered all the way through. Some can use a smaller one because they've got a smaller home and only want the AC rocking and really like it if the fridge and freezer worked. Let Boudreaux's Electric come out and determine what it is that you need and install that customized home generator at your home. Same phone number that Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. That's them at Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Sports Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Tune in this Sunday as we bring you a trio of NFL games. We'll start with the noon kickoff, Washington Commanders at Atlanta Falcons, and then immediately following that, we'll take you to Patriots at Raiders, and then our nightcap, the New York Giants and Buffalo Bills. Tune in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along on this Tuesday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Set out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, chat with our guy Glenn West. Go 247 senior writer covering the Tigers. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing well, Hunt. How are you?
Doing quite well. Did the LSU defense play better on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, considering what we saw 2 weeks ago. But I think, last weekend was certainly a step in the right direction, particularly in the second half. I mean, I think the biggest area that you could probably say there was some market improvement was just simply getting off the field on third down. Holding Missouri to 4 of 11, 2 of 9 to finish the game on third downs was extremely, extremely important. And on those third down plays, you had the Harold Perkins interception, you had a Mason Smith sack, you had the big Braden Swinton strip there in the fourth quarter. So those guys were making plays, especially up front there in the second half. But I think that's some positive momentum that this team can really grow on heading into obviously what's going to be a next couple of weeks here where you got to get some wins and get into the bye week at 6-2. So I do think that there was some market improvement from the defense, but you just want to see it carry over, I think, for 4 quarters against a team like Auburn.
How do you think the defensive players have responded to the first month and a half of the season, like mentally? You probably talked to them once a week and kind of gotten something from that. Have they handled it okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, we've spoken a lot with Mekhi Wingo. He's a great person to talk to, a great leader for this team. He's kept things very upbeat. One of the main mantras of this team is that they don't get too high off of a win and they don't get too low off of a loss. And he's been kind of a real steady force for leading that charge. Savion Jones, another player we talked to some, and he's a guy that obviously is a little bit more kind of reserved in what he says, but I do think overall that the players have, they've said the right things publicly. I think that they're working hard behind the scenes, obviously, with the way that they're preparing for these games, and I don't think they've let some of this down play or inconsistent play, I should say, get to their heads a whole lot. I think they've just kind of kept things going and hoping that they can find some improvement here. And I think that's just kind of the best way that you can approach, a season like this that hasn't maybe gone your way to start.
I don't know of a better way to ask this question. Like, what do you make of the cornerback situation, whether it's the youth, whether it's Denver Harris playing sometimes and not playing sometimes, their performance on the field? Like, what do you make of cornerback at the moment?
It's a revolving door of frustration and just kind of, I think probably you could probably make the argument that there was a little bit of, just a misconception in terms of what kind of talent they were bringing in this offseason. I think that there's, some young guys that they really want to kind of get involved. I mean, we've seen a lot of Terrence Welsh. We've seen a lot of Ashton Stamps and certainly with what Denver Harris is doing on and off for a few weeks there. I just think that they're a really young group. They're a group that hasn't had a whole lot of experience. And really the biggest part here, though, is you haven't gotten what you hope to get out of the transfers. I mean, Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut in particular have been very inconsistent this year for you. It's nothing against them. It's just they haven't been able to perform up to the level that I think LSU needs them to play at. And a guy like Chestnut right now is not even with the team. So you're down to 4 cornerbacks essentially. They've been playing Sage Ryan some out there this last weekend against Missouri. We'll see if they'll stick with that. But yeah, I just think it's one of those situations where they're scrambling for ideas. I mean, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in that secondary, especially at that cornerback spot right now. And they're going to keep throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks. But I think at some point here, you're going to have to lean into the young guys, get those guys on the field as much as possible. Know that there'll be some growing pains there, but also hoping that there'll be some progress made and that you can kind of head into the next offseason with some momentum with some of those guys.
You think Jaden Daniels is going to slide anytime soon or just keep getting rocked?
I hope so, man. He takes some just absolutely brutal hits. I mean, that one, down by the goal line there where he was actually already in the end zone, that was another one of many missed calls from last weekend that should have been flagged. But, we'll digress with that. I guess you've already spoken about some of the officiating this week. So, I do think that, he's putting himself in some really tough spots there. I mean, he's just such a warrior, though. I mean, he's a guy that feels like he can outrun everybody, and when you feel that way, you don't really want to slide. If you feel like you can outrun somebody, but there's definitely some times where he's going to have to learn how to slide. I mean, hopefully this hit to the midsection will get him to maybe slide a little bit quicker, at least for the next few weeks, while maybe those bruised ribs are starting to heal a little bit more. Sounds like he's going to be a full go in practice this week, so that's all good. But definitely would like to see him not take some of those bigger shots, because that one he took even on Saturday that he got hurt on wasn't even probably in the top 5 of the biggest hits he's had this year. But he's been able to pop up so far. So, hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to have the kind of run that he's been on this year, which has been pretty extraordinary.
How do you like this matchup with Auburn?
It's going to be a test. I think it's probably going to be a test for the offensive line. Those guys have really stepped up and played extremely well, but this is a very physical Auburn defensive front, and they're going to be coming off of a bye week here. They're going to have some rest on their hands. It's going to be really interesting to see how LSU's offensive line is able to match that physicality. I would probably say it's the most physical matchup just from a, in the trenches standpoint that LSU's had maybe since Florida State. I mean, Arkansas was certainly up there, but I think Auburn's right there with Arkansas in terms of just how tough and physical they are as a defensive line. So I'm going to be watching closely with the offensive line with the run game and see if that can't continue to have success like it's had the last several weeks. But, I think that there's a clear advantage here for LSU. I think that they'll be able to have some success offensively. This has not been a very potent Auburn offense. They rank at the very bottom of the SEC in total offense so far. So, this would also be a really good week for LSU's front seven to continue taking those positive steps in the right direction. Hope that the secondary can have some good moments as well with the quarterback that's a little bit kind of struggling right now, and I hope that the hope is here that LSU is going to be able to find some momentum. I think carrying here into the what's going to be a crucial next couple weeks before your bye.
You think they can win out?
I think they can. Look, I mean, when they've got an offense that's playing this well, I just you can't say that they can't win against every opponent they're going to play. I mean, like there's just they're so consistent and so efficient offensively right now, and the way that the SEC is looking, like I think that they'll be able to move the ball against everybody, and I think that actually their schedule, at least from an opposing offensive perspective, lightens up a little bit. I don't think that A&M's offense or Alabama's offense is kind of close to what they've faced so far, whether it's Florida State or Ole Miss or just some of the other teams that they played this year. So I think that they, will they be favored in every game throughout the rest of the season? And probably not. I mean, I would imagine Bama will be favored in the game in Tuscaloosa, but that doesn't mean LSU can't win every game this year. So I'm not sure I'm ready to go out on a limb yet and say that they'll win out, but the way that the offense is playing will keep them in every single game this year. And if the defense can just get to average, which is something that I've been saying for a couple weeks, if they could just get to being an average defense, I think that there's a realistic potential there for LSU to win out.
I know you got out to the box this weekend. Did you see anything of note?
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to see Justin Lohr. He was he pitched a couple innings and he looked really, really good from the left side. Thatcher Hurd and I'm trying to remember. Luke Holman were the two starters for the game that I saw. They both pitched an inning. It looks like they're both, knocking off some early fall rust. But they're rotating a bunch of guys. Paxton Kling was in center field. Mac Bingham was in center field. Ethan Fry was the guy that really stood out in the scrimmage from at the plate. I think he's a guy that's really going to have to take that next jump, whether it's as a DH or maybe an outfielder or a first baseman or something. They're going to have to work him in. I think he's going to be a guy that can really help this offense this year in year two. And I'm excited. I'm going to be out there a bunch more. I only was able to catch about 5 or 6 innings, but excited to get back out and see some more fall ball because I think they've got another really good roster and a good season ahead of them.
And Matt McMahon pulls in a 4-star point guard commitment and second 4-star in this class. There a little momentum behind the men's basketball program for the first time?
I think so. They've got 2 top 60 recruits right now in our service at 24/7. They're in on a bunch of other players. Guard Victorious Miller is a guy that you should have your eye on. They're in on a bunch of other 4- and 5-star talents. I think if they rack in a couple more here to close, then they're going to be looking at, kind of at the door of a top 10 class. And that would be an extremely, extremely big improvement from what we've seen in the last year or so. But they're able to get out there and recruit some guys and really put the time in, I think, this last year to kind of make their pitches. And they've kind of served all those sanctions now. So I do think that this is kind of the success they're having isn't by accident. It's kind of been a ripple effect of just not having any of that NCAA cloud over their head. They've been able to go out and really recruit these guys hard, and they're making good pitches. And I think that a lot of these players right now are seeing opportunity to come in and play early, and that's going to be something that I think McMahon and his coaching staff really lean into.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll do it again next week.
All right, Hunt. Thank you. Appreciate it.
He's Glenn West, senior writer at Go 24/7 for all your LSU team coverage, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, or recruiting. They do an awesome job over there at Go 247. Glenn's with us each and every Tuesday. 45 minutes from right now, we'll talk Saints with Sharie Isack. Still got some SEC over-unders from the preseason that I want to go through in the second hour when we come back. We'll close out hour number 1 with my thoughts from a little bit of fall baseball as they've just gotten underway at the box. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team been in the game for 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you don't think it's a great time for you to move, but you want to upgrade your living situation, look, you can do it with One Bath and Closets. They handle full-scale renovations and remodels for bathrooms, full-scale renovations and remodels for closets, or something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. And we tell you about the aesthetics and the functionality all the time of the things that One Bath and Closets do, but how about the safety situations? They can help you with non-slip floors, with grab bars where you may need them, different seats that may help those that have a little bit of trouble getting around in the bathroom. Maybe that's for you. Maybe that's for a loved one in your life that doesn't want to move. David Duvall and his team do this kind of stuff all the time. Make house for those that you love. So check them out at onebathandclosets.com. Go to the website, check out pictures of their great work, request that free consultation, get David Duvall and his team out there so they can give your situation a look. The website, once again, is onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sean Salisbury stops by to talk some quarterbacks. Matty Hudak with some Saints film review. Join us Tuesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, fall baseball underway out at the box. We'll do this maybe a couple times a week as I get out there and see a little bit more each week. I was able to get out to one day, and obviously not going to draw sweeping conclusions. I'm out there for a day, and you got Zeb Ruddle getting 2 hits, and he got a bunch of hits last fall, and you got folks saying, well, I mean, it's going to be tough to keep him out of the lineup, right? And I'm going, well, it was 3 at-bats in October. I don't know that you're going to read too much into that. I'm more looking for some big picture things as opposed to, oh, look how good he is. I mean, it was 4 innings. How good can you show yourself to be? It was very nice, in my opinion, to see Michael Braswell, the transfer from South Carolina, who struggled swinging the bat last year, had some really nice swings. He had a line drive back up the middle for a single. He homered a little bit later in the scrimmage. So that's a guy that, in my opinion, was brought in to be a starting middle infielder. I mean, there are certainly other options. You brought in some freshmen that are very talented, and we'll see what shakes out. But in my opinion, he was brought in as an SEC starting middle infielder, which is what he was at South Carolina, to be that at LSU. So as I look and I see him swing the bat, I know he can defend. He's a good athlete, and he's got good size, great frame, but he's going to have to swing the bat a little bit better than he did last year, and it was nice to see that. But as I look at the guys who I believe to be favorites to win starting jobs, I start to look at how physical and right-handed a big piece of the lineup looks. I mean, Tommy White probably going to be in there. He's big and right-handed and physical. Hayden Travinski probably going to be in there. He's big and right-handed and physical. Ethan Fry, Jarrett Jones, big, right-handed, physical. Paxton Kling, although he's a better athlete than those guys, is big and right-handed and has some pop. I mean, you look at White, Jones, Fry, Travinski, Kling, that's 5 guys right there that are a lot. They have a similar profile. Yes, Kling's a better athlete and runs better and plays better defense than White, but you look at it and they're all kind of big right-handed dudes. And you add Braswell to that mix, and he's a big right-handed dude. Awful right-handed at this point. So I'm looking at it, I'm hoping that Josh Pearson can be a really nice left-handed piece. There's no reason to think that he couldn't be. I'm hoping that maybe Stephen Milam gets a chance as a switch hitter who can certainly hit from the left-handed side of the batter's box, like maybe to play one of the middle infield spots, maybe second base. Brady Neal's got to be healthy, and I'll tell you this. Brady Neal, who does hit left-handed, caught one inning when I was out there on Friday and threw a seed down to first base, down to second base to get a guy stealing, and it looked really healthy and really strong doing it. Now, he's not hitting quite yet, and he's not catching 6 innings quite yet, and they're easing him back in. But last year, you had Braden Jobert from the left side. You had Cade Beloso from the left side. Those are impactful middle-of-the-order bats that hit from the left side of the plate that were a big piece to what you were doing. Of course, Trey Morgan fits into that mold as well as another left-hander. The year before that, you had Jacob Berry, who was a force for you left-handed. They're just kind of looking a little bit right-handed for me right now. But you've got left-handed options. Just a matter of, are they going to force their way into things? Is Brady Neal going to play every day? We'll see. I'm not certain. Is Stephen Milam a guy that can get out there and hit? We'll see. That's something we're going to have to monitor. But it's a very talented team. It's just not quite the juggernaut that we were looking at this time last year going, oh my God. Like I last year, before the season started, literally went through an exercise where I was going 8 right-handed hitters and 1 left-handed hitter in one lineup and 7 left-handed hitters and 2 right-handed hitters in the other lineup. And like, it wasn't an egregious stretch to think that could be something that they could go to if they wanted to. Like, that's how deep and talented you were last year. This is not quite that, but I don't know if we're going to see that anytime soon. That many top end-of-the-line picks. It's impressive. And it was awesome to watch. But they're overhauling things. You're going to be missing like 7 guys who started in that national championship game. But I still think there's a ton of talent. I'm excited to get out there and see Cameron Johnson, big left-handed freshman that I think most of you remember from the Major League Draft. The reports on him early are really good. I don't want to heap too much on a freshman because it's not too often that you see a freshman pitcher step right into an SEC rotation. I mean, Aaron Nola didn't do that. He had to work his way through in his freshman year to finally get to the weekend rotation towards the end of it. You see Alex Lang and Jared Poche jump in there pretty quick and become guys, but it usually takes a little bit of time. They're just not all this talented. And you talk about consistently 96 to 98, the spin rates are off the charts. Like he's a really talented dude, and you know that he fielded some serious phone calls in the first, second, third rounds of the draft and turned down a bunch of money to stick to his number to come play college baseball. It's early. We're just looking at analytics and some numbers. He's only been out there for a small amount of time in a scrimmage setting, but you look at just from a raw talent perspective, he's a special dude. And I'm talking about how right-handed the offense looks. You start to look at Johnson and Brown and Anderson and Jump and Ackenhausen and like all these left-handed arms, and of course Johnson, like they are. I mean, Herring is a guy that I saw pitch on Friday. Like they've got a ton of left-handed arms, which is also a very, very good thing to have because most college teams struggle against left-handers because they don't see a lot of left-handers. Even the right-handed guys in high school just don't see a lot of good left-handed pitching, so it's an adjustment to them when they get to college. So for LSU to have that kind of a leg up where you're looking at them offensively from a lefty-righty perspective, you're going, they screwed a little bit to the right-handed side. But out there, most weekends, they'll be open for another scrimmage Thursday at 3:30. So I'm going to try to bolt out there and see that one, maybe Friday at 3:30 as well. And again, I'll give you updates on baseball maybe a couple times a week as we move forward, because I do think that there's a pretty big faction of you at this point that are pretty locked in on that program, because I think there's going to be a really, really special 10, 15-year run here that we kind of kicked off last year with a national championship. So any chance to get to a little baseball, I'll find a way to do it. Glenn West, good enough to be with us in the first hour, had a little casual stat comparison between the 2023 LSU offense and the 2019 LSU offense, and then a little hat tip to the LSU offensive line and where that is as a program. All that you can find on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, anywhere you find your audio. You can find that also on YouTube. We got a bunch of folks hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat. Appreciate that. We'll open hour number 2 looking at my SEC football over-unders from August. We'll see how that's looking. Also got to hear from Sharie Isack on the Saints at 2:30. Come back after Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. ESPN's Michael Rothstein's reporting the Falcons acquired receiver Van Jefferson from the Rams. Jefferson struggled to find a substantial role with LA this season, in part because of the emergence of rookie star Puka Nacua. Vikings superstar receiver Justin Jefferson will land on injured reserve with a hamstring injury. He'll miss at least 4 games. Sensational Dolphins rookie running back Devon Achane likely out multiple weeks with a knee injury. NHL opening night tripleheader on ESPN includes top overall pick in the draft, Connor Bedard of the Blackhawks visiting Sidney Crosby and the Penguins at 8 Eastern. Bedard will be amazing, believes ESPN NHL analyst PK Subban.
This guy has been nothing short but unbelievable in junior. His junior numbers are outstanding, but what he's done in training camp in the preseason, making defenders miss like he does here, his ability, his balance, his skill level, and his ability to score big goals in big moments. But this guy's got a pro-level shot. I think he's going to have a real opportunity to have an impact early.
Caesar Sportsbook is listing the Hurricanes as the favorites to win the Stanley Cup this season at 15-2 odds.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
All right, it's hour 2. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Looking for something to do this evening? About sports trivia at Pluckers. Nicholson location, 8:30. We crank things up. We're watching playoff baseball. They're going to have some college football on this evening as well. Drink ice-cold, delicious beer, eat some awesome wings, win some gift cards. It's generally a quality time at Pluckers on Nicholson. We get you out of there before 10 o'clock. Always fun. So grab a team coming out to Pluckers on Nicholson at 8:30 for sports trivia. The beauty and sometimes the disaster that is live radio can always be traced. You can always go back and check the tape. So you can't hide from any of your keep track of some of my season-long predictions as the year moves forward. And I want to take this time as we're midway through the season, basically. Most teams kind of hitting their bye last week, this week, next week, or the coming weeks in terms of LSU and Alabama. On 8:30, so on August the 30th, I did over-under totals and predictions for every SEC team. And I want to just kind of give a look into how that's going to look at this point. So as I look at it, and we'll start, I don't even know what order these are in, quite frankly. I don't think they're in any sort of rhyme or reason, so I'm just going to go through as I wrote them down. It starts with Alabama, and their number was 10.5. So they were going to have to go 11-1 or 12-0 to get to the over-under. Just regular season win totals. And I bet Alabama on the under 10.5. And I did that because I thought, you know what? This is a team that's played really close games now with everybody for 2 years. This is a team whose quarterback I do not believe in, and I think they're going to get tripped up. And that looked really good right out of the chute when they lose to Texas and look really poor against South Florida. And you're going, okay, I just need them to lose one more game. And you figured maybe that's Ole Miss at home. Maybe that's on the road at A&M. Maybe that's LSU. Maybe it's the Iron Bowl. Maybe it's Tennessee. And I'm going to need one of those because I've only got one to this point. I still feel pretty good about that one. I think there's a world that Tennessee wins in Bryant-Denny. I think there's a world that LSU wins in Bryant-Denny. I'm not ready to tell you Arkansas is going to get them. And I don't love Auburn, although they did just play Georgia very close. So we'll see. That Iron Bowl has produced some wacky things. I still feel okay about it. Is it a slam dunk? Do I want to double down on that non-existent bet? Not really, but I still feel okay about Bama under 10.5. I just need one more loss. Arkansas, I thought would take a step back because of their coordinators, but I also liked Arkansas's quarterback, obviously. I took Arkansas over 6.5. Now, you look at Arkansas right now, and you're talking about a team that is 0-3 in league play and has a non-conference loss to BYU. So to get them to 7 wins, which is what I need from them, they're going to have to win 5 more games. I got news for you. That ain't going to happen. Arkansas is not getting to 7 wins any way, shape, or form. That one is cooked. Let's see. I mean, if I were guessing how many wins Arkansas is going to win the rest of the way, honestly, they're not going to win at Alabama. They have a home game against Mississippi State they could win. They're at Florida. They could win that. They got Auburn, FIU, and Missouri. So technically, after Alabama, they are all winnable, but you would have to win all of them. You have to go 5-0 after the Bama game. That's not going to happen. Arkansas is not running the table. I'm ready to rip that ticket up and light it on fire, quite frankly. Very, very poor pick there by me. Auburn, I have them under 6.5. Right now, they would have to win 4 more football games because they are 3-2. I think that under is probably a decent bet. I don't think they're going to win at LSU. I don't think they're going to beat Ole Miss. And then they're not going to beat Alabama. So for Auburn to hit their over, they're going to have to beat Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and New Mexico State. They certainly could. Arkansas is on the road. Vanderbilt's awful. So basically, it comes down to can they sweep Mississippi State and Arkansas? They don't have a very good offense. I thought that from the start. I didn't like Peyton Thorne. I didn't like where the roster was, and I thought there was a chance they could go out and lose to Cal. And then you certainly have Georgia on the other side. So I thought they would be an under team. They're going to have to win all of their 50-50 games the rest of the way to get there, or spring an upset against Bama or LSU. I don't see that one happening. I like my Auburn under 6.5. I have never missed, well, I've probably missed harder, but I missed really hard on Mississippi State. I had them over because I thought, man, veteran quarterback, they ought to be able to move the football. Woody Marks is a good running back, and they've basically got this whole defensive front 7 back from a good defensive mind. So I had Mississippi State over 6.5. Right now they are 3-3, and I don't think are going to get to 7 wins. They need to win 4 more, and you just don't like the way things shape up. They've got road games the next 2 weeks with Arkansas and Auburn, which they really need to win, because then they play Kentucky, who's better than them. They're at Texas A&M. I don't think they're going to win. Now, they're going to beat Southern Miss because Southern Miss is terrible, and I don't think they're going to win the Egg Bowl. So I think there's probably 2 more wins there for Mississippi State. If they win 2 more football games, you're talking about a 5-7 football team that's well short of the 7 I need. So that was just an absolute miss on my part on Mississippi State. Ole Miss, I had under 7.5. I didn't trust Jackson Dart. I didn't trust the massive turnover. And at this point, at 5-1, Ole Miss is going to get to 8 wins one way or another. I also didn't like the fact that they had to go play Georgia on the road, which they still do. But they just need to get to they just need 3 more wins. I think they got a good chance to beat Auburn. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. They're going to beat UL Monroe, and they're probably going to beat Mississippi State. That's 4 wins right there. So I think that I think Ole Miss is in a good shape there, even if they don't go to Athens and win. Lane Kiffin's team is in good shape. So that's not looking super awesome there. A&M had over 8.5. That's going to be close. There's 2 huge swing games for A&M. Those huge swing games for A&M are at Tennessee and at LSU. They're probably underdogs in both games. And right now you're looking at a 4-2 team. To win 5 more games is an aggressive play to get to 9. So can they win 5 more? I could try. I could get you a Tennessee win, South Carolina win, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Abilene Christian before they even go to LSU. So really all they have to do is split as long as they don't get tripped up. I don't think they're going to win at Ole Miss. We'll see. That's going to be a really close one, so that one we can't really call yet. Georgia had over 11.5. That one's going to hit. I just don't think Tennessee is going to beat them. They're going to win 12 games. Florida under 5.5. I didn't think that they would beat Tennessee. So they only need to win 2 more football games to get to that over, and you feel like that's pretty likely at this point, considering the fact that they've still got South Carolina, they still got Arkansas, they still got Missouri, and that doesn't even speak to at LSU and Florida State. So they still got work to do because their schedule was brutal, but that Tennessee win was the one that tilted it in their favor, so I'm probably going to miss on that Florida game as well. I had Kentucky over 7.5. Kentucky just needs to win 3 more games to get to that over. Can I get them 3 more wins at this point to hit my over? You look at Kentucky. Can they beat Missouri? Sure. Can they beat Tennessee at home? Maybe. Go at Mississippi State? Yeah. but they're all 50-50. They're not going to beat Alabama, and then they're at South Carolina and at Louisville to finish things off. So that one started off really well, and they've only lost one game, one that we knew that they would lose to Georgia. They got to win. They got 6 wins. They got to win 2 more. If I can get them wins against Mississippi State, South Carolina, or Louisville, I would get there. I think Kentucky has a good chance to do it, even though they're probably pretty disappointed in that output. Missouri under 6.5. They've already got 5 wins, so that they're with conference the rest of the way, but they still got Arkansas, who's not very good. They've still got South Carolina, who I think they can play with. So we'll see what Missouri can do. I think they're going to be probably over, so that's going to be a miss. Tennessee had at under 9.5. I don't hate that one right now because that Florida loss. Still got Georgia, still got Bama, still got A&M. I think they can probably handle business in Kentucky and Vanderbilt, but I think Tennessee under still okay. Vanderbilt had over 3.5. You cannot lose to UNLV. You cannot lose to UNLV if I'm trying to get you to 4 wins. They only have 2. They're not going to win 2 league games. That one's cooked. So in summation, I could very easily here go 3-11. Like, it could be really bad. It could be really bad as far as my preseason prognostications. But that probably doesn't surprise you because a lot of my prognostications don't go great. But we're doing okay against the spread. We're only like 2 games under 500 halfway points. We got to turn it up in the second half and have some go our way. Just a little midseason checkup on where things are and where I thought they would be to start the season. Sharie Isack's going to be with us in 18 minutes. We'll talk black and gold with Sharie. When we come back, just kind of a status update that Brian Kelly gave us yesterday on some of the injuries, on some of the situations, on some of the withheld from play, to use a Les Miles term. We'll get to some of that when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered together to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center in southeastern Louisiana. This collaboration is going to provide patients in the regions with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in the nation. Ochsner is the first and the only provider in Louisiana that's got a fully integrated cancer program based on MD Anderson's practice standards, their treatment plans, their protocols, their specialists, their researchers, as well as clinical trials that are available to eligible patients. We're all in some sort of fight against cancer. We all know someone who has cancer, dealing with cancer battles, or have in our past. Ochsner and MD Anderson are partnering together to help continue that fight. And the great news, they're going to add expert care, 7 locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, and Baton Rouge, and they're working together to certify more in the future. If you'd like more information on Ochsner, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and that fight against cancer, we invite you to visit ochsner.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before.
Kate Voisin, join me and the coaches Todd Black and Jimmy Roy for the next edition of Louisiana Prep Weekly. Our special guest will be Walker head football coach Chad Mahaffey. It's Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday night at 6, live from Walk-Ons in Town Center on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, 3 of the 4 games on the road against top 25 opponents, so outstanding teams on the road. We're certainly playing at a high level offensively, and we need to continue to improve defensively. And that's, obviously we've given up too many points on the road, but I think our guys have done a great job in their preparation on the road. Clearly, outside the Florida State game, we had a great chance to win the Mississippi game. So I'm really proud of the way they've handled themselves on the road, but it's been a difficult schedule, and we're seasoned, we're right in the hunt, and, the season's in front of us.
I know a lot of y'all don't like when I say stuff like this, but this might feel a little bit different if you open the season with Southeastern Louisiana. Because you'd be sitting there with 1 loss in conference, on the road, and saying, man, we could really be 7-1 going to Tuscaloosa. And I know that there are some of y'all that have used the last 4 years as a motivation to, hey, let's not start 0-1 anymore. Let's not play those games anymore. And I know there are some of y'all that say, hey, bring on anybody and everybody. And I think that mentality changes next year when you go to the expanded playoff. But I just probably did a poor job of realizing that you were playing 4 of your first 6 on the road. I didn't consider Florida State a road game. I thought LSU would travel okay. LSU did not. It was 90% or more Florida State fans. And I guess I just don't fully respect at Mississippi State, at Ole Miss, at Missouri, like I would at A&M, at Auburn, at Florida, at Bama, at Georgia, like that. Because it's like, oh, well, it's 50,000 people, like whatever, it's on the road, but just take care of your business. But you were on the road for 4 of your first 6. And now you look and things break a little bit, but you wish you were just 1 loss short of where you are. So we'll start to talk about LSU and Auburn tomorrow. Start to take a look at some of the memories from that series, some of the things statistically. Before I dive in full speed ahead, like I would look at LSU and Auburn and I would say that LSU would have a really good matchup here. That would be my guess. I've seen Auburn play a good bit and kind of know what they are and what they aren't, but we'll see what the numbers bear out and maybe what things were different when Auburn played Georgia, because that's clearly been their best performance to date. So we'll do a little bit more of that going into tomorrow. But for today, kind of our last LSU segment here, wanted to kind of get a status check that Brian Kelly gave us in his press conference yesterday. And we'll start with the update on Jaden Daniels' ribs.
I think our biggest concern was, just overall soreness. He got hit a number of times. It was a physical game. But, he checked out well yesterday. He was in the film room this morning, got his normal film study in around 5:30 this morning, and was with the trainers this morning, and he'll be full go for practice on Tuesday.
Slide, Jaden. Sometimes it's 3rd and 6, and you got to go get it. Sometimes you don't have to leap in the middle of the field and get body slammed like what seems to happen once a week at this point. Just take that easy. It sucks that the hit was fairly late. I again said yesterday that I thought that it's hard for me to totally fault a defender at the goal line for not trying to make a play. I get that it was late. I understand what it looked like on TV. I think there's a little bit of a different perspective that goes into flying around on the field defensively and trying to make a play. Did the guy that hit him probably think it was going to be a touchdown anyway? Yeah. Is there a chance you can try to make a play and knock the ball out of the goal line? I kind of like my defensive guys to play hard, so I'm not going to go nuts on it. Would I have been shocked if they threw a flag? No, I wouldn't have. But it was just an unfortunate situation there with Jaden. Kelly gave another injury report for the week.
Doubtful is Chris. That high ankle is probably got him doubtful right now. And I think probable is Omar. Probable is Charles Turner. Probable is Aaron Anderson.
So that's Chris Hilton that he's talking about that's probably doubtful with that high ankle sprain. You probably won't see him, I would guess, until Tuscaloosa. That's just a guess on a high ankle sprain. There's no real need to bring him back against Army. And then you've got a bye week, and then maybe you're ready to roll in Tuscaloosa. So stinks for Chris Hilton, who's just been bummed. He's just been hurt for his entire time here at LSU. The talent is undeniable. You saw him take that crossing route and absolutely turn the corner on that last drive in Oxford. And he's got unbelievable talent, but it's just you got to stay healthy, and he hasn't quite been able to do that. Charles Turner's the one guy that had to miss some time during the game, and it sounds like they thought it was worse than it may be.
Charles right now is listed as probable, and we had an MRI. We thought maybe he had a meniscus, but it turned out to be positive that he does not. So we'll be careful with him, and we're, like I said, I think it's probable that he'll get a chance to play.
And if he's probable, and if he feels okay, this is one you need to go out there and try to give it a go in. You can sit next week. If you get through this Auburn game, you've got 3 weeks of healing time before the next kickoff, right? Because you play Auburn, you've got that week leading up to Army, you've got the week leading up to the bye, and you've got the week leading up to Alabama. So the guys that it's tender and it doesn't feel great, I mean, I think the mentality is give it a go this week. Let's see if we can get through this Auburn game, get a win, and then if somebody needs to sit against Army, that's something we can do. And that's one of the things I talk about with these non-conference games in the past of college football and the present until we get to the expanded playoff. These non-conference games do allow a bit of a breather. And you can say, well, you don't get that in the NFL. I'm like, no, you don't. But you can lose 7 NFL games and still be in a decent spot. In college, you can lose 2 and be in a decent spot. So these have always been games where a lot of guys rest or get suspended or whatever the case may be when you get to Army. And we'll see if LSU can get there so that Chris Hilton can rest and that Charles Turner can rest. And, if Jaden needs to come out at halftime, like whatever the case may be, you can probably do that against Army. But you got to get through one more game here against Auburn. The other guy that has been missing a little bit and hasn't been injury-related has been Denver Harris, and this is what Brian Kelly had to say about Denver Harris yesterday.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Denver's continued to grow, continue to learn what we do, how we do it, on a day-to-day basis. Just he's maturing.
Here's my thing on this thing with Denver Harris. Like, I don't have any inside information. I don't know what the issues were that had him running third team, had him not playing against Florida State, had him ready to play against Grambling and ready to play against Mississippi State. I don't know why he didn't play in the game on Saturday. I don't know any of the answers. I'm left in the same place that you're in, just letting ideas swirl in my head going, what is going on? Like, is he late for film study? Is he 5 minutes late for class? Did he forget to fill out his survey online? Was he late for team dinner? Did he start a food fight in the chow hall? Like, I don't know what is significant enough where you're making the trip and not playing versus getting kicked off the team versus whatever the situation with Deuce Chestnut is where he's away from the team versus now you're in good standing with the team. Like, it seems to be so back and forth. And again, I'm sitting here with no information. I don't know what's going on. Somebody, I'm certain, in the LSU football ops could send me a text message. They don't have my number, but they're like, hey, here's the deal. And I'll be like, oh, that makes sense. You did this, this, this. Okay, I got you. But I don't, at this point, I'm just looking at it going, what's going on? Can you not just get it together? He's clearly not been arrested or, kicked out of school, but he's clearly done something or continues to do something that doesn't allow him to get on the field as routinely as the rest of the guys. And that's just a hard one for me to try to figure out. Like, why doesn't he play? I don't know. And I'm not here to tell you that I think Denver Harris is playing at an all-American level and he's the missing piece to LSU's defense. No, he's been out there when they've scored plenty of points on LSU's defense. But it just is an odd situation where we continue to hear where it's like mature and learn and doing things our way and process and this and that. You're like, well, so he was in line with the process for the Arkansas game, but not in line for the process for the Missouri game, and not in line with the process for the Florida State game, but good to go for the Grambling game. Like, I don't know. I don't know what level of infraction we're talking about here that warrants continued slap on the wrist and never, the hammer dropping and never smooth sailing. It's always a little different with this situation. Who knows? Somebody in football ops knows. Guess it's just for us to speculate about at this point. We'll take a timeout. We will chat with Sharie Isack from WDSU, talking all things Saints. Do the Saints have the offense figured out? How good is the defense? Where does Alvin Kamara rank in all-time Saints on the offensive side of the football? Get to a lot of those different things with Sharie coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana. Just started in a shed back there in Baton Rouge. Now you think of them as one of the preeminent baseball equipment manufacturers and distributors in the country. But it's not just that. It's the impact that they make on our state that makes them a champion of Louisiana. It's the tourism boon that we get every single July with the Marucci World Series. It's their ability to hire elite-level talent and bring that talent to the state of Louisiana to work. It's their ability to keep our elite talent here working at their baseball performance lab. Those types of things are what makes Marucci a champion of Louisiana. It doesn't hurt that they're outfitting some of the best players in Major League Baseball with their equipment, but we want to focus here on this state, and LWCC always does, and they certainly know that Marucci Sports does as well. If you know a champion of Louisiana that we should elevate and celebrate, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to and cast some lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to
On Wednesdays, OTB. Another hour of flustering as Matt Flynn breaks down a ton of football. Plus, start to dive into the Auburn Tigers. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head back to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharie Isack, WDSU down in New Orleans. Saints get a huge shutout win over New England. Have they figured it out, Sharif?
They're back. They're back. Well, to be honest with you, look, I told you last week they need to show some kind of life and steps in the right direction on offense. They did. They showed a little bit of that. I'm not saying they're completely there. Even Foster Moreau said, hey, we're not going to celebrate this like we kind of phrased what he says, like we won a Super Bowl. And they missed a lot of opportunities, but trending in the right direction. At least that's what they, were hoping for, and they got that in that game against the Patriots.
What was the best thing they did offensively?
The offensive line. I really like what the offensive line has done each and every week since the start of the season. They were, getting a lot of criticism when they were 2-0, and I feel like since then they have gotten better. Even in the losses, they were better. It's just some of it was on Derek Carr. Like that first sack was on Adam Prentice. Adam Prentice just missed his assignment. Second one was on Derek Carr. But for the most part, the offensive line, they were bashing that defensive line and allowing those running backs to pick up massive yards. And that's what you want to see from your offensive line. If you can run the ball, they were close to 140, you can throw the ball. And I thought that, the offensive line, opening up the holes for AK and Kendre Miller really helped Derek Carr get the ball down the field a little bit.
How do we think Derek Carr's health is? He's not going to tell us, but how do we think it is right now?
Speaking to a guy who deals with, shoulder injuries, he said it should be better by week 3, and this is week 3, and it looked better last week than it did against the Buccaneers. So I expect it to be close to 100% this week when they go to the Houston Texans. He missed a couple throws. I mean, on the first drive, he missed Chris Olave. He threw it high. If Olave doesn't tip it, it probably gets picked off, and he threw another one there later in the game to Michael Thomas that kind of sailed over his head. But for the most part, I thought he was all right. I thought he did good. He was obviously much better than that game against Tampa Bay. Can only go up from there. But I thought he did, a good job going through his progressions and, throwing the ball to all levels of the field. And, that's a step in the right direction once again. And that includes for Derek Carr.
Look, Pete Carmichael's been under fire for a good bit for the last 4 weeks. And obviously they were better this week. Did this take a little pressure off of him?
No, he's been under pressure since last season.
Yeah.
But yes, he knows he's been under pressure, and he says he accepts all the accountability and all the and everything thrown his way. Yeah, a little bit. It's off a little bit, but you know how it is, Hunt. Show me you can do it again, and show me you can keep doing it. And I'm excited to see where this offense can go. If that's a little taste of what they have, but they're all healthy for the most part. The entire offense is healthy. You have zero excuses to score 9 points at home against Tampa Bay. So I think they're going to be trending in the right direction. I hope they prove me wrong and they just go backwards. But I think that was a sign of life there that they needed.
Got Alvin Kamara in the end zone. He's now the Saints' all-time touchdowns leader. Where does he rank among Saints offensive players all time? Certainly Breeze is at the top of that discussion, but where's Alvin Kamara fit in?
Oh, he's in there. He's certainly in the top 5. I mean, that's an amazing question. I think a lot of people have floated that question around. You talk about him, you talk about Alvin, you talk about Deuce McAllister, Drew, Marcus Colston, who probably didn't get enough recognition because he never made any Pro Bowls. And that's the type of guy. Willie Rowe, if you want to throw offensive lineman there, Jari Evans. So he's, I know you just don't want to talk about skill players, but you got to throw like the guys, Jari Evans and Willie Rofe in there
For sure.
for what they did. But yeah, he's in there. He's in that top 5 or 6. But if you're going just skill players, yeah, I mean, top 5. I mean, considering what he's done since he's been here since 2017, kickoffs, plays essentially in the slot, running back, he could do it all for this team.
All right, let's talk about the defense. They pitch a shutout. They score a touchdown. Baker got after him a little bit 2 weeks ago, but that was kind of back to normal. I don't know that New England's going to set any offensive records in the positive column this year, but that was refreshing from the defense.
Look, you take advantage of a guy who's not really good at being a quarterback in the NFL. He was pretty good at Alabama, not good at being a quarterback in this system. He just does not look comfortable, looks like a guy who's lost, honestly, and the Saints made sure they didn't give him any kind of opportunity to do anything. They just absolutely got after him. That was a thing that, once again, the offensive line was good, the defensive line was good. You get pressure at a quarterback like that who's struggling and his confidence is beat up, he's going to throw some very bad passes. Quite a few passes that went short, that sailed his receivers. He was getting hit. May have only had 2 sacks, but look, that first pick 6 was because Carl Granderson got back and hit him. And they've got back there quite a few times in that game to create some of those errant throws. And that's what the defensive line needs to do in order to help that secondary. They have to get after the quarterback, especially the quarterbacks they're playing this season. None of them should scare you. None of them are that good.
People have lamented Trey Hendrickson getting away over the last few seasons, and certainly frustrated with some of the guys like Davenport on the defensive front. And all of a sudden you realize, they have something in Carl Granderson. How do you describe his run through this organization and how he's playing right now?
Undrafted, and he is a guy that has ascended each season. He continues to bump up each and every year with his play. The TFL, it's not just the pressures. He gets back there on running backs. He's got some TFLs. That's the thing with him. You can get back there and hunt down some of the running backs in the backfield, and that's what the most impressive thing about him is. I mean, yeah, the pressures are great in getting sacks, but if you're able to chase down some of the fast running backs in the NFL, you're going to niche out a really good career. And the $52 million that they gave him looks brilliant right now because it could be worth more if he continues playing at this level.
No doubt about it. So let's move forward to Houston. They'll be on the road for the second week in a row. C.J. Stroud playing pretty well. Houston, who we thought would be maybe one of the worst 5 teams in the league, has been competitive. What do you make of the Texans?
D'Amico has done fabulous. D'Amico Ryans has done a fabulous job. The defense, I mean, that's what he's known for. He's known for his defensive, coaching skills, and the defense plays really well. And that's going to be the test for the Saints. Can they somehow, you're not going to score 34 points again like that and have a shutout. Can they have a sustainable offense? Can they push the ball down the field after running it? Can they do that against D'Amico Ryans' offense? And they got to find a defense. Can they find a way to make C.J. Stroud make some mistakes? He's done a good job. I think he threw an interception for the first time against the Falcons. That might have been his first interception of the season. Yes, just goes to tell you he takes care of the football. Are they going to disguise some of their coverages? Are they going to give him different looks in order to fool him? And I think that's what they need to do. But once again, get after him. You've got to get after him. He's a good pocket passer, and he can move the pocket a little bit. That's the guy that you want to get after. You want to build your confidence even more after last week, you go after him and disguise it somehow. But that is the key to me. Can you get to C.J. Stroud? Even forcing punts. You get one turnover, great. Forcing a lot of punts, just as good. So it's a challenge. It's on the road. The Saints are favored 2.5 points, but the odds makers have been wrong quite a few times this year when it comes to the Saints. So I think they just have to go on that formula they had last week with the Patriots and just be as balanced as possible on offense. You've got to get AK going.
Let's go big picture here. You had your preconceived notions before the season started of the NFC South and of the Saints. Now that we can look back on a month of football, where do you think the Saints position themselves in the South?
I still think they're the better team. I think that was a one-off loss to the Buccaneers. I just think Carr wasn't healthy. It was a bad game plan. It was too many throws near the line of scrimmage. You can't beat teams that, defenses like that who are quick along the line of scrimmage. I still think the Saints are the best team in the NFC South. They have the most talent, all-around talent, of all the teams in the NFC South. And in my opinion, I still think they're going to win it. I think 10 wins. 10 wins will win the NFC South. I know the teams all have 3 wins except for the Panthers, but all around, I think they have the better talent. It's just my opinion. It may sound like I'm a homer, but I think they have, from top to bottom, the best talent.
Pels cranking things up here pretty shortly. Is there any buzz in the city for the Pels at this point?
That open practice had a lot of fans at it Sunday. After a Saints noon game on the road, I know everyone likes to party and have fun watching the Saints game, but the Smoothie King Center was packed for a Sunday free practice. It was great to see that. I think the buzz is nice. Everyone, for the most part, except for Trey and maybe Jose and Larry, we'll see when they come back. But, your big stars are healthy. That's a good thing. You want to make sure your stars can stay healthy throughout the entire season, not missing 50, 60 games. So the buzz is there. Let's see what happens. They're going to get 20 minutes tonight against Orlando Magic in their only home preseason game, and they'll build off of that and see how far they can go and see how healthy they can stay. And that's the key word with both the Saints and Pelicans, staying healthy.
All right, last one here, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit in my final segment. But Troy Dannon, who was hired by Washington away from Tulane, said on a Seattle station, I want to go somewhere where you can win. I love Tulane. You're not going to win a national championship at Tulane. You can win a national championship here, meaning Washington, and it's been proven. I've seen a lot of your cohorts in the media not thrilled with that comment. Your thoughts on what Troy Dannon had to say?
I mean, it really is taking a shot at Tulane by saying
it is.
You're taking a shot at Tulane. That's fine. I think that not a lot of people are going to be, mad that he's gone. He's taking that type of shot at Tulane. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he did a good job of one big hire, Willie Fritz, had an amazing historic season last year. Ron Hunter, he had a good hire with him. I mean, you talk about all the academics and all that stuff, and it's within the athletic department, but I don't know why he took a shot at Tulane on the way out. That's fine. I mean, if you want to go to the Big Ten, you're going to Washington to the Big Ten next year. They'll have a chance. What he said is right about having a chance, but you never know with Tulane. What if they would have gone undefeated last year or this year? Eventually, when the playoffs change, one of those group of 5 teams will hit and get in there and probably wiggle their way to somehow get into the Final Four, even a championship game. Just the way things are going, but it is what it is. I mean, Tulane, I'm sure will find someone. We'll find someone really good to take over as the athletic director.
All right, Sharif, we'll do it next week.
All right, Hunt. Anytime, man.
Sharie Isack, WDSU down in New Orleans. Had a bunch of topics there. A lot of nuggets on the Saints. Then we went over to the Pels, and then a little Tulane dust up with Troy Dannon, which I'll give my thoughts on in the final segment. That's when we'll play Take It or Leave It on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Let's get excited to do the Jersey Mike's live read. Love Jersey Mike's. Great sandwiches over there at Jersey Mike's. Super sub is my favorite cold sub. That's the ham, the prosciutto, the capicola, and the provolone on that delicious bread. Also, I'm more partial to the hot sandwiches because, look, you order one of the cheesesteaks over there at Jersey Mike's, you order it, they immediately put it on that flat top, cut it up, and it comes melty and delicious on that awesome bread. Stop in for a late lunch. Stop in for dinner. We love our folks over at the Highway 30 location in Gonzales. And we also want to remind you that they are great for catering orders. If you want to get a box that has 12 individually wrapped subs, that's awesome. You want to get boxed individual lunches, which have the subs and the chips and the cookie in there that you can do for feeding the office, they can do that as well. They got a cookie and brownie platter they can toss in there. And look, they got a deal for you, listeners of the Hunt Palmer Show, 20% off for listeners of the Hunt Palmer Show on your catering orders at the Highway 30 location in Gonzales. Jersey Mike's, great subs, awesome people, and we appreciate them for being one of the sponsors here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Looking for lunch or dinner tonight? Make it Jersey Mike's.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Charles Hannegriff, join me and Jimmy out for the next edition of Live at Lunch from the original Walk-Ons, Burbank at Nicholson. Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay, Wes Reynolds, all with us. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bad news for my fantasy football team. James Conner going to probably go on IR with an injury to his knee that he suffered against the Bengals back on Sunday. I've also got Jamal Williams who's on IR, but that's all right because we got depth and we're rolling in fantasy football this year. I know you're interested in that. All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Horror movies during Halloween season. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I think we've been over this fairly extensively. We talked about me and the haunted stuff last week, and like being scared is a bad sensation. It's a bad feeling. It's a bad thing. No one's like, oh, I need to get scared. No,
there are actually a lot of people who like to be scared.
No, you don't like to be scared. That's
they
bad.
are.
Well, what does that even mean? It's a bad thing. Like
it's
scared
exciting
is
and
afraid.
thrilling for them. Now, why do you? The 13th gate has hundreds of people that go every day.
That's to like laugh at yourself or something.
Oh,
like,
really?
That's not scary. You know
Okay.
you're in no danger if somebody jumps out of the wall and screams at you. You're like, I guess you're in no danger like watching a movie.
No.
But like, it's bad. It's a bad sensation. People who watch horror movies, you need to get checked out. You need to see a mental health professional. It's a bad thing. You're not going to catch me watching a horror movie. It's not going to happen. No chance.
All right, moving on.
Being
Billionaire
scared.
Raiders owner Mark Davis was seen playing airport slots in Las Vegas. Billionaires playing $5 a spin. Take it or leave it.
Okay, so I'm going to try to... A billionaire sitting there pulling slots. I mean, are you really going to win enough money to where it's going to matter? Probably not. However, I think the best way I can give a ruling on this is most people that are in casinos probably shouldn't be there.
Yes.
Myself very much included. Like, there's a far greater chance that you're going to do something that's pretty detrimental to what you're doing than you're going to help yourself out. That's the way things are supposed to go. Like, I could do some significant harm to my family's financial situation if I was in a casino 3 nights a week. Like, that would be a real bad situation for us. But that's never going to happen to Mark Davis at the slot machines in the airport. He could probably screw something up, sports betting. I mean, I don't know what Phil Mickelson got in the hole, and he had quite a bit of coin. But he is still a human, and if he could turn $5 into, like, $3,000, like that would be a cool little jolt that might be a nice piece to the day. So is it the best idea I've ever seen? No. Is it ever really going to matter to the bottom line? No. But he is in a better situation than the vast majority of us here who don't really need to be pulling the slot machines at all. So I'll give Mark Davis a pass. You want to go burn $200? Make it happen, buddy.
A retired couple booked 51 straight cruises because it was more affordable than a retirement home. 51 weeks at sea. Take it or leave it.
So I've never booked a cruise, and I've never shopped for a retirement home situation. So I can't really put any context on this. I've been on one cruise. I did not pay for it. It was an enjoyable experience. My thing is, if I'm a retired couple, cruises I think are lovely, but you could get on the wrong cruise. And if you're in a confined spot and there's like a lot of kids, like, and they're just loud and like all over the place, and I don't know that that's an enjoyable week.
And for those playing at home, that is a year
thing and need to work and all this kind of stuff. I hit that Powerball tomorrow for the 400 and something million that's going to be in the cash. Trust me, I'll be just fine not working. I'll be great at it. But a cruise,
you're gonna be stuck on a boat for a year.
You're confined to. You can't really escape if it's a bad situation.
Yeah.
And like the one cruise I went on was lovely. I enjoyed it very much. But like 51 weeks, that could be a lot.
Japan's #1 high school prospect, Rintaro Sasaki, is skipping the Nippon Pro Baseball League draft and coming straight to the U.S. He's the first to ever do this. The 6-foot, 250-pound first baseman set the record for most career high school home runs, 138. He is rumored to be heading to Vandy. Jay will reel him in. Take it or leave it.
I don't know anything about this. This is a high school kid leaving Japan, wants to play some college baseball in America and then test the professional ranks. This is not something we've seen before. I'll leave it for now, but I'm not going to put anything past Jay. What I was thinking about, and I have no idea, I don't know anything about Rintaro Sasaki. I saw 2 highlights of him. He's a big kid. He hits left-handed, and obviously in the highlights he hits long home runs. I would be so intimidated to leave Japan to go to school.
Yeah.
Like with the language stuff. I'm so impressed with multilingual people, especially athletes that come over and can do like press conferences and speeches and talk to players in different languages, because I'm so unilingual, whatever that is. I have one language I can speak. I took 13 years of Spanish and can't speak it at all. But it'd be one thing to come in and try to interact with teammates and then try to, do interviews through an interpreter. Another entirely to study at a place like Vanderbilt and have to get grades in a different language. Maybe he's been learning English his entire life and speaks better English than me. That wouldn't be shocking at all, but I don't know the situation. It intimidates me, though, to think about that situation and going to a different place. But I guess math's a universal language. If you got kind of a math degree over there,
yeah,
that you could handle some things. But that's very interesting, and I'm excited to see how that goes with a kid coming from Japan to play college baseball over here.
All right, let's just do one more here, short on time. Former Tulane AD, as we talked about with Sharif, Troy Dannon said on the C-Hour radio station, he wants to go someplace where he can win. He loves Tulane, but you're not going to win a national championship there. And it's been proven that you can win them at a place like Washington. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I will take his comment on its face. Like, yeah, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
But there's no need to say that. There's no need to mention Tulane. You can say, I want to be at a place that can win championships, and I feel like this is a great place to chase championships at Washington, and that's been proven. You don't even mention Tulane. I think there are a lot of people who are listening go, oh, good, screw Tulane, and like, I just don't care about any of the other schools in Louisiana. I hated Tulane in the early 2000s when they beat LSU in a super and they were really good. Now they're not any good, so I don't care. I don't care about ULL or what they call themselves. I don't care about Louisiana Tech when they throw a fit about whether or not they're on our baseball schedule. I don't care about ULM or Northwestern State or Nichols. I don't care about any of them, and I don't care about Tulane's football team either. I don't pull for them. I don't pull against them. I think that was an unnecessary thing to say by Dannon, and there are a bunch of Tulane folks that are up in arms about it today, but it is what it is. You move on and you get your new athletic director. That's it for us here on a Tuesday. Hope to see you out at Pluckers tonight for sports trivia at 8:30. If you missed any of the show, you can catch it all on demand. 1045ESPN's.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and of course on YouTube. We're back tomorrow with a What If Wednesday, some power rankings with JD Piquel. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home on After Further View. See you tomorrow. Mike Palmer Show.